We good to go?
All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the webinar. Today, we are honored to be participating with ConMet to bring you a presentation on how to maximize results when integrating TPMS with wheel-in telematics. Before we get started, I want to go over a few quick housekeeping items. You can ask questions anytime using the Zoom Q&A feature. We do have some dedicated time at the end of this presentation to address those. This session is being recorded and will be sent to you via email once available. Also, there will be a brief survey at the end of the webinar that we'd greatly appreciate if you could fill out. Now, I'd like to take just a brief moment to introduce today's speakers. Kevin Wu is the Director of Digital Sales at ConMet. He has several years of sales leadership experience in the telematics space. In 2021, he joined ConMet, bringing his experience to the budding digital business unit focused on bringing IoT products to the commercial vehicle industry. We'll also be hearing from Isaac Otto, the product manager for the ConMet digital business unit. He joined ConMet in 2020, bringing his experience developing IoT products for the trucking industry. My name is Jennifer Burtis. I am a product marketing manager here at Platform Science and will be your moderator for today's session. With that, I will hand things over to Kevin to get started.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you guys all for joining us today and learning about vehicle health, specifically on wheel-end health and as well as trailer telematics. As Jennifer mentioned, my name is Kevin Wu, Director of Digital Sales here at ConMet Digital. You may or may not be aware, but ConMet holds a long history and a very dominant market position on the wheel-end space, especially with our big four OEMs. And going back, way back, we were actually a spinoff of Freightliner. So we've been in this space for a long time on trucking, in the trucking world. And our launch of digital has been about how do we take this data that we have in the lab, all this data from manufacturing for over 60 years, and bring it out to the field where fleets can enjoy and reap the benefits as well. So that's what we'll be covering today and how we connect the vehicle sensor data and input it into your daily operations to maximize your efficiency, your uptime, and increase safety across your fleet. So to get started, we have this vision, right, where we call a vehicle area network, right? There's this network around your asset where all sensors are connected, right? All wheel ends, every tire, every pressure or temperature critical point is connected into a network. And that's our vision of a vehicle, a vehicle area network, and sharing that data with the fleet on the back end, as well as directly to the driver through this partnership with Platform Science. And we want to simplify that connectivity for you. There's a lot of portal paralysis on this market. There's a lot of telematics companies out in the field, and we want to consolidate the means and the mediums through which they receive their data for the dispatch, fleet manager, operations, as well as for that driver. So to start, we are launching this with a tire pressure monitoring system, as well as a SmartHub, a wheel and vibration and temperature monitoring solution. But part of this vehicle area network is that you can get so much beyond, right? More than just the wheel end. We'll be adding additional sensors to our breadth here, where you can measure, brake line pressure, any type of pressure on the asset, as well as temperatures and other types of sensor inputs. So that's our vision on connectivity, and we'll jump into what tire pressure looks like on the wheel end and what that means to your fleet. Now, when we talk about tire pressure for a fleet, right, how do we get that input today? Well, often it's done as a part of the pre-trip inspection by the driver, right? So what that means is we're relying on an input from a personnel, and given that the pre-trip is done each and every day, right? So that's a potential once a day input to rely on for this, very expensive and heavy 80,000 pound asset moving at 65 miles per hour. What we want to enable with technology and tire pressure is increasing that once a day to every 90 seconds, right? Every 90 seconds is almost 1,000 times a day. We're reading that pressure for you and alerting you based on the input, right? That alert can be sent to the back end, right, to the dispatch and the fleet, but also directly to the driver, right? With this integration, we can notify the driver directly to the Platform Science existing tablet of a critical, over pressure and under pressure, right, and the variances in between. Of course, we have the backend notifications for texting and email, all of that set up as well. But we've seen a lot of value reaped by being able to cut out a phone call from a dispatcher who notices an issue with an asset, picking up that phone, calling the driver, and the driver pulling over and having to address the issue, right? We're able to cut out additional mediums there and go directly to the driver, which has been fantastic with this partnership. We do offer valve caps as well as the pass-throughs. Although I'll be honest, right, a lot of fleets have gone directly for the pass-throughs, and they've appreciated being able to directly fill up that tire without having to remove the sensor or have that possibility of displacement of the sensor. So where the critical aspect of our tire pressure system is again going from that one-time potential measurement to 960 times a day, right? We're talking a lot of debris, punctures in the road. Things are picked up as we're driving, right? They're generally not picked up once you're parked. So that's where we've been able to catch a lot of significant instances for our fleets, and we'll go over some of those examples. A question that we often get asked is, hey, Kevin, we have ATIS. Do we need a tire pressure system? And my answer to that is, well, they're complementary solution, right? The automatic tire inflation systems on trailers, they're fantastic for getting an asset to a destination, right? We believe ATIS is fantastic. It's almost like putting a Band-Aid on an issue to get it to a place where we can address the root cause of that issue. You can see an example here where an asset, a trailer with ATIS, as well as our TPMS solution, was installed on. And on the left, you can see it driving along around 100, which is pretty close to within spec. But once that vehicle stops motion, the ATIS doesn't turn on, right? Or it's not operating while not in motion. So we see that it deflates to around 71 PSI here. As the vehicle starts to move again, right, ATIS kicks on and pumps that tire back to 100, right? Which is, again, fantastic in getting the vehicle safely to a destination. What the driver may have experienced and noticed is that their ATIS light was on when they started the trip, and it may have flickered on and off as the sensors recognized pressure, but it turned off, right, as the asset went back into spec. Once the vehicle stops motion again, we're completely deflated to a 0, right? So now you have this ballooning effect on your tire, adding additional wear and tear. And you have one corner of that asset sitting completely on one tire, right? As the asset moves, we're back up to 78 PSI. But what's interesting here, the ATIS system isn't able to keep up with the spec, right? The leak has gotten large enough where even in driving motion, the ATIS pump is working real hard as fast as it can, but it isn't able to maintain spec. As you can see, in a macro vision here, we see a deflation of that wheel end. This is where an instance where a driver saw the flickering light, may or may not trust it, right? So you may start to lose credibility on a solution, right, on an ATIS system that you've invested in. But what actually caught this vehicle to have the repair done was the visibility, right? Thanks to the remote visibility of all of your tires, right, on the road today, with our solution, the maintenance team was able to identify a leak occurring and address the root cause, right? So this, again, preventing a roadside event, right? Preventing something happening on the side of the road. Instead, we can route the driver maybe to an in-network maintenance shop instead of an outsourced, costly one. Here's another example of the importance of visibility. Right? A driver has our solution installed. A tire is clearly reading very flat. And the OEM system actually warned the driver as well, right? Now, that's another instance of relying on personnel to trust, right? The data is provided, but in this case, the data was provided and to do something with that data, right? This is again where the remote team had visibility to look into that asset, identify an issue, and correct the flag. We see countless examples of these today, and the rapid pressure losses are likely the most scary ones. The platform science integration, what we're able to do is not just catch these leaks, but we're able to message directly to that tablet and to the cab with the driver, as well as in the second instance here, right, as part of the integration with the pre-trip workflow of platform science, with the one click of a button, you're able to check all of your tires and recognize, hey, I have a flat tire here at 17 PSI. I should probably get that addressed. So the combination of the two has been very powerful in alerting and notifying driver backend, as well as the streamlining the workflow integration. So in a 2008 study by the US Department of Transportation, we learned that 7% of all tires are underinflated today, right? And on average by 20 PSI. That's a staggering thought to think about. And the end result of that to your budget is there's about a 10 to 13% increase in tire procurement costs due to these issues. So we're talking about maintenance budgets that are bloated up, right? More roadside assistance and emergency repairs versus in-network preventable maintenance that could be done. Result is increased operation margin, right? Your uptime is increased. Your cost to address wheel ends and tires are lowered, right? We streamline your pre-inspection process, shortening that time that we know all drivers love to spend, and reducing tire-related roadside issues. Not to mention the safety, right? You'd be surprised on how many steer tire leaks that we're catching today, right? And to think about the aftermath of that, not just to the driver and to your assets, but to the citizens, right? Driving in their small passenger vehicles right next to us. So the importance of tire pressure monitoring has been profound in this market space. We saw it being adopted in the light duty vehicle space in the late 2000s, and we're seeing a very fast adoption here in the trucking space today. Now onto SmartHub. Our wheel end monitoring solution is a sensor that attaches to your hub. So I touched on earlier, ConMet is the dominant hub manufacturer for our trucking world. And we're taking this lab data that we've gathered through insights collected and sending that out to the fleets where you can enjoy them as well. We're learning a lot of interesting data about the temperatures of a wheel end, and even the tire health, just based on vibrations alone, taking out tire pressure, right? On what a flat spot vibration looks like versus an imbalanced tire vibration looks like. So it's turning into an overall wheel end health, and much more than just the hub health where we envision. Some of the data science that goes into this is a lot and a very rich amount of wheel end vibration data. Here in this chart, we've normalized a lot of data that we've gathered. And you can see the green dots indicating bearing vibration and orange dots indicating non-bearing vibration. Now, what does that mean? It could be a tire, it could be debris on the road, a speed bump, your airbags. So non-bearing vibration related incidents. So we collect all that data, normalize it, and we're looking for a distribution of where there's anomalies in vibration or temperature. Here we had a case where we saw enough of these green dots that we recommended that the driver inspect the wheel end as well as on your next preventative maintenance to take a look. Even after a shop has inspected a wheel end, right, they returned it back into the field because everything looked and felt normal. They shook it around, the seals weren't leaking, it looked fine. Right? We continue to see this data, and we see an inflection point in the bearing vibration, and that's where we recommended a lifted shop inspection. As you can see, that's when the data continued to grow worse and worse, and the anomalies increased up to our 5th point here. And that's where we found a spalled bearing, which is very uncommon and difficult to find in the industry. So by being able to detect the wheel end going sour months before, right, a real issue occurred, we're able to prevent a catastrophic event that happens on the side of the road. We're able to lower that fleet's maintenance costs by including it as a part of preventative maintenance. And it was done in-house, right, versus an unplanned roadside event. So you can see this is how we display that data to our partners and fleets. You can see there were some warnings with the yellow dots occurring on the front left as well as front right. Then as it got worse over time, they turned into red warnings in critical states where that wheel end needs to be addressed. I don't know how long you may have been in the trucking industry, but generally you'll find these bearings either exploded on the side of the freeway or you open one up and they're brand new and very clean. To be able to find a spalled bearing with specks of metal in a wheel end like this was eye-opening, not just for us, but for our OEMs as well as our partner fleets. Now, going beyond that wheel end, we're finding a lot more tire state vibrations. Right? As you can imagine, there's a lot more, generally more tire issues than wheel ends. And here's an instance where we found various tire vibrations occurring on an asset. The warmer colors here reflect the tire vibrations, and the colder are non-tire. And you can see again, there's a general inflection point, right, where we make recommendations prior to those inflections, that the driver take an inspection, the technician look at it, and then ultimately a shop lift inspection. Now, how that looks in the real world, right? Here's an example of a trailer with a super single, right, on a left axle one showing increased vibration. Within 2 weeks, the vibration expedited from a green to a yellow to a red, right, to a very critical. And you can see on the picture here, there's a large chunk of retread missing on that corner. This asset was the tank trailer, hauling very sensitive chemicals. So the fleet was, they were able to recoup their ROI just by catching this one asset across their fleet. Other examples of non-bearing and even tire-related events, right? In this asset, we notice a quick spike in temperatures, right? You'll notice these peaks. And there's one instance where the peak exceeded 180 Fahrenheit threshold that we set on our wheel ends. Now, we looked into why that was occurring and where the asset was. And it turns out, you can see that the asset was coming down a very steep elevation very quickly at speeds of 80 miles per hour, which is scary to think about. So you can imagine the amount of braking that was going on while in descent, causing the wheel end to spike in temperature coming from the brake. This is an example of where this data could be integrated into your driver coaching, right, and education workflow. So we're able to modernize your maintenance through a wheel end health, at the same time increase uptime, preventing those roadside events, and of course improving the safety, right, the National Transportation Safety Board estimates about 750 to 1,050 wheel-off events per year on our highways. That is a staggering and scary number to think about, especially when we have the technology to measure and possibly prevent those wheel-offs. So whether that's through modernized maintenance and upkeep or use of technology, our vision is to create safer roads together. Included with our wheel end health and tire monitoring solutions is telematics and just standard GPS, your location, concentration, and a vehicle health at a quick glance. This comes included with the solution, and it offers every 2-minute GPS or once a day when not moving, your standard speed, distance, elevation, and all the various components that come with telematics, such as geofencing. I know you guys, a lot of fleets have this with their tractors on ELDs, but a lot of our fleets have been able to reap the value on the trailers by having a one and complete system with a vehicle area network, including the sensors as well as trailer tracking on one solution. Now, how does that look with the platform science integration? Isaac's going to demo for us shortly, but here are some screenshots at what that view looks like for your driver. We are an app that sits on your platform science tablet, but more importantly, we're integrated into the workflow of existing platform science solution. So whether you're doing your pre-trip inspections, if you have an issue, you press a button within the platform science apps and it'll direct you directly to the ConMet digital app, where you can see your asset's health and critical warnings on that asset. This is mainly meant for the driver, but we have a back-end web portion for the dispatch or lot managers and fleet managers. Or they're also great for just lot walks and clicking different assets to see their health. Now, that's a lot of data, right? We can collect on the wheel end, tire, temperatures, brakes. And what does that mean for us? Well, our vision isn't to just give you more data, right? Raw data is really noisy and there's a lot of information. We process that data on our engineering models. We have AI-assisted algorithms, and we anomalize and mass aggregate that data to look for patterns. And our machine learning is able to extract these patterns to make them actionable for you, which just turn into warning states, right? Of a green, yellow, red, right? As simple as that to your driver, to your dispatch manager, to your fleet manager. We also have a technical account management team that will work in conjunction with platform science to give you all the support that you need. Every fleet that we've talked to has had a different process and how this data is ingested, right? Your workflow, each of your workflow looks so different from another. So we will work with you, whether that is through APIs or through backend notifications, on which notifications go to, maybe within geofences and within certain lots and your certain fleet managers that are overwatching certain regions, right? We will work and establish all those hierarchies with you to make sure that this data is effectively assumed into your existing workflow. We offer comprehensive training, support. We offer installation as well as training for your techs to do the installs. We've offered backend data support services, and lots of reports based on this existing data, and hardware services as in part of updating sensors and replacements and so on. So with that said, I'm going to hand it off to Isaac, who will provide our driver app demo and what that looks like in the day-to-day operations for your drivers.
Great, thanks, Kevin. All right. Perfect. You can see my screen here, Kevin. Excellent. So I'm really excited about this platform science integration because it really gives the tools to the driver to be able to utilize their pre-trip inspection more efficiently, and for the fleet to be able to push drivers to do that inspection more efficiently and a data-driven approach. Kevin talked a lot about tire pressure management. One of the tools that drivers often use for checking that tire pressure is a hammer, and it's about as blunt a tool as I can think of to check tire pressure. So we want to move that driver's experience into a data-driven model to provide more accurate, actionable data to them in a tool that's integrated in a way that makes their life really easy. We want to integrate opening that app into the workflow experience. So when the driver is loading their ELD in the morning and they sign in and they're going through their DVIR, that they pull up our app, check the data before moving on to driving. So we can see here the Platform Science tablet with our app that we're going to select here in the middle there. So upon loading the app, the tractor will be automatically populated from the Platform Science tablet to our application. So all the data that is collected from our sensors, be it TPMS or SmartHub or any other sensors that we have that are installed, will be populated to the app. The driver can also add a trailer when she picks up the load, or if a trailer is already connected to the asset. Simply by searching for the trailer, the driver can also do a remote check, checking the data before they pull up to the trailer. Here we're going to search for a trailer that we have within the fleet here. We'll go ahead and select the second trailer here, the reefer trailer. So now that trailer has been added to our selected assets. Each asset you can either quick add or select and see a little more information. Here's the tractor we're driving. The data was last updated today. It has TPMS installed on the asset. We're going to go ahead and hit the Start Trip button. And what that does is it brings us to our pre-trip screen here. So the latest data value from every sensor is loaded to the UI here and the health state. So what we want to do is highlight what's actionable for the driver immediately. So we can see, based on the fleet determined thresholds and our algorithms, what the health state is. So the tractor has some low pressure, but not to the point where it's in a warning state yet. But the trailer has one tire in a critical warning state. So if we go ahead and select that tire, the driver can see what pressure that should be brought up to. In this case, 100 PSI. You can see that CIP target, so they can know what to fill that tire to. In this case, TMC and our industry recommends that tire is inspected because it is flat before being driven on. If we select another one of the steer tires, again, even if it's not in a warning state, we can see the target pressure. In this case, the pressure is in a healthy state, 2 PSI above our CIP target, and it's matching pressure across that axle. There's not a differential pressure there. And really, this screen is meant to, again, drive that pre-trip inspection through data so that the driver can know the vehicle is safe. We have a lot of scenarios, like in the example Kevin showed, where drivers will drive on tires that are low, either because their tools were not as sophisticated, or they are trusting other systems like an ATI system to be making the asset safe to drive, or they just don't have access to this type of information. And to integrate with the Platform Science workflow allows fleets to ensure that drivers are building a solid pre-trip inspection into their process and doing so in a data-driven manner. So here on the left, you can see our two icons for the two different products installed on the assets. the TPMS, which has a warning, and SmartHub right now is normal health. So we will flag if there is a warning from vibration or temperature, and when the driver can see if that's a tire related issue or a bearing related issue. We want to be able to flag issues for drivers so they can also make best use of that pre-trip inspection. So if we flag a tire vibration issue, we want them to go take a look at that tire, make sure it's safe to drive, make sure that the tread depth is at a point where they won't be fined driving over the road. So here we can say each of our tires and hubs is in a normal state. Again, we can, when we click on one of those positions, we can see a little more information about the hubs. So it's temperature right now, and then the vibration. If this were in a warning state, we would call out if that was a tire vibration or a bearing vibration signature. Over the road, drivers will also get a message when a warning occurs through the platform science interface. So they will get a message to the messaging app to automatically saying that an issue has occurred. So the hub has gone over temperature, or a tire is leaking and is in a low pressure state. They'll get that message through our system, delivered as a message that the tablet can then read out. Go back, and if we want to drop the trailer, let's say they've done dropped the load off at a depot, and they want to remove that and complete their drive with just the tractor. They can do that going back into this select asset screen and simply removing that asset. We're going to hit X here on the trailer, remove the asset, and then we just have the tractor back in our data view here. I'm really excited to have drivers be able to improve that pre-trip and then get more data to enrich their drive when something's an issue, be able to make informed decisions about the warnings that they're receiving. And one powerful thing that Kevin mentioned as well is the fleet management and back office team is getting the same data that the driver is getting on their platform science tablet through the back office. And that allows the driver, if they do see an issue and they call into the fleet, the dispatcher, the maintenance personnel can see the same data that the driver is seeing and help them make the right decision, the best decision for the fleet on what to do to alleviate the problem. Kind of that early warning helps prevent some of those extra costs, those road call service events. As we move forward, we'll be getting even more feature-rich integration with platform science. We don't intend to sit on our laurels here. We want to continue to more deeply integrate our app and our data into the driver's experience moving forward. And I'm excited to continue working with platform science to do so. Main screen. Awesome.
Thank you, Isaac. I believe we have some time for Q&A. If there are any questions, you may enter them into the Zoom chat here, and we'd be happy to share our thoughts or any of our insights.
Hey, Kevin. So we do have a few questions. First one up is, what's involved with getting this installed and up and running?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, so we do have a installation process where our technical account management team and our installation team will work with the fleets on getting the solution deployed. Step one is getting a read of the type of vehicles, the number of tires per assets. We've worked on vehicles with 4 tires all the way up to right now we're deploying on a fleet with 28 tires per asset. So we go from super singles all the way down to 4x4s. Then we have a training solution where we can come out and train your team to have the installations done depot by depot. But we also offer the installation as a service to the fleet. Where we'll work with you and your schedules to coordinate ideal times where we can install on the vehicles to not impact your uptimes. Once that solution is deployed, you can work with Platform Science to enable our app within your Platform Science solution and have that deployed remotely to all of your tablets where your drivers can start using the functions. And then on the back office side, we also offer training with our technical account management teams who can work through the different personnels and teams and the functions that they will reap the most benefits out of and ensure that it's embedded into their existing workflows.
Thank you. See, we have another question that came in. Is it possible to have alerts go to multiple people, like the driver and service manager?
Isaac, do you want to take that one?
Definitely, yes. And that's our goal, is to have an integrated experience with the back office and the driver, so that at the same time the driver receives a message on the Platform Science tablet, the service manager can also receive the same alert either by email, SMS, or on the back office dashboard. And really, we found from feedback from our fleet customers that integration allows the driver to make the best decision on what to do with the asset. Maybe they can keep driving and stop at the next service location or Love's instead of pulling over to the side of the road and when that's not needed.
Thank you. All right, another great question. If my fleet is several hundred vehicles, how will I be able to pinpoint alerts to specific vehicles?
Yeah, that's the beauty of our solution. We'll take that actually and go beyond just one asset, but we'll tell you which tire on that asset, right? So it's pretty cool that we can get granular to which wheel end or which tire is causing the problem for you. That's done through the notification when, Isaac showed when you select an asset that you're driving for the driver. And for the dispatch manager, it could be within their region, right, from the back office. So we will show you with the GPS, the current location, speed, elevation of precisely where that asset is. With the Platform Science integration, that even ties into which driver is driving that asset. And then our data will show which wheel end or which tire specifically, and the history of that tire or history of that wheel end. So you can see on our charts how long the issue has been going on for. Then you're able to estimate, where the ideal location may be to address that issue. So a lot of that data is all done through the vehicle area network. It's our gateway reading all of your sensor data and sharing it to different portals depending on the need and personnel.
Awesome. Looks like we had another question come in. Can alerts be customized based on recipient and issue type?
Absolutely. We have a hierarchy system based on who receives what type of alerts, and as well as custom reports and how frequently. So we have assigned scheduled reports, right? For example, maybe a executive maintenance manager may just want to look for patterns, right? How is our Western region doing compared to our Eastern region, right? What are the number of flats or wheel end issues that we've had? Versus a maybe regional depot manager specifically responsible for a select number of assets. They can only receive notifications for those groups of assets. So we can definitely use the hierarchy and notification and alerted scheduling system to give you either scheduled or critical notifications based on the user assignment.
Great. All right, we got a few more questions to go. Can I just get the TPMS on my vehicles, or all three services offered in a bundle?
Great question. Yeah, we offer an a la carte system. The GPS and location tracking comes as a given, and that's assumed as kind of our solution. So you can use it purely for trailer tracking. We have a lot of fleets doing that today. Then we offer the a la carte sensor systems, whether it's you only want TPMS or you only want SmartHub. And I hinted earlier that we have a host of additional sensors launching next year. That's where you can really reap the value of one deployed solution and adding additional sensors to increase your ROI. So yes, you can absolutely just use one of those sensors or one solution or a myriad of them. And that's the beauty of the network that's created around the vehicle.
Great. That's awesome. All right, we have another great question. Is the information from the trailer sent to the cloud and then to the tractor, or is it sent directly to the driver's tablet in the cab via Bluetooth or other means?
Yeah, that's also a fantastic question. So today we are collecting that sensor data to within the trailer, within the asset, then sent over to the cloud to your back end. And the reason we do that is if your trailer is not connected to your tractor, right, and it's sitting remotely somewhere, we still want to be able to read that data and send it over to you before you go and pick up that asset. So they do act directly to the cloud and then back down to the tablet. I don't know if I'll get in trouble for this, but we are looking at additional features where there's value for a driver to perhaps walk around an asset with their tablet and to read those sensors as well. So we're looking at different features, but yeah, stay tuned.
All right, this is all great stuff. I don't see any other questions. I'm gonna give it just another minute here as give people a chance to enter some more. All right, I'm not seeing any come in, but if any questions do come up, by all means, anybody can reach out to Platform Science or ConMet. We're happy to answer any of them. Like I said, the recording of this presentation will be sent out to all those that registered, so you guys will have it right at your fingertips to watch again. Kevin and Isaac, thank you so much for all this great information. I really appreciate you taking time out during Driver Appreciation Week to really show this great system. With that, I'm going to close out the webinar and remind everybody to please take the survey at the end. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much.